Hey everyone, this is Anna here. I had a Kiln unload live on Facebook, so I put all my stuff here on the table, and please don't mind my mess here in my garage. I've been trying to clean everything up and get ready for my upcoming Cuerda Seca workshop, which is at the end of this month. But finally, I got my Under the Sea collection out of the kiln, and everything looks good except for one piece that actually hit the shelf. So, but before I start, and I do have my packs that I wanted to show, but as you might have heard today, something really sad happened here in my town. This is a small town here in Georgia that happened that horrific shooting this morning. When I was out and about, we saw tons of police cars on the streets, and we knew something big had happened. My husband was driving. We were at Home Depot actually, and we knew it was something out of the ordinary because there was so many on the streets. So and then when we got home, we heard what had happened. And so my thoughts and prayers are with the families that were affected. It's something very sad that you never expect it would happen in your hometown, but it happened here, so it's everywhere on the news. So yeah, just very sad. I was gonna leave to do this video because we're all in shock still about what happened, but I needed to unload because I'm trying to do this my shop update or shop restock, however you want to call it. I'm shooting for Sunday, so I don't have too much time to get ready. I do a lot of prep, like sanding the bottoms and stuff, so I wanted to get it out as soon as possible. So I took it out and I'm ready to show it to you. I do have two pieces that are Cuerda Seca. Actually, I have some trinket dishes also, but two mugs that I wanted to show because they're actually going to be sort of what we're gonna do at the workshop, and also the little trinket dishes. And then a lot of sculpted pieces that I'm very excited to show you. But first of all, let me just show you my cone pack. And I'm sorry that I don't have my mic today, so I'm gonna try to speak a little louder. Hopefully you guys won't have any trouble listening to me. It is kind of a little windy, and I'm near the woods here on my side, so sometimes it gets a little noisy just with the wind, when the wind picks up, but we have a nice breeze. But I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna have to buy a new mic because mine died. So anyways, this is the cone pack, and I believe, yeah, let me get the other one. So they're almost identical. So my top shelf, mid shelf, cone 5, cone 6. So it didn't quite get to a cone 6. Maybe this one was a little bit hotter. So my kiln has a downdraft vent. So the top shelf gets a little cooler than the bottom. So because it keeps pulling the heat to the bottom. So the bottom shelf is hotter than the top. Usually heat rises, but in my case, because I have a downdraft, it pulls the heat down. So I think this was on the bottom shelf and this was on the top where it was a little cooler. So knowing this, I tend to place the pieces that don't need as much heat, like my Cuerda Seca, which are stroke and coat. I tend to put those on my top shelf, and then the ones that I want to be a little hotter, I put it on the bottom. So if you have that information, you can play with the glazes that way. Which shelf gets a little hotter than, and that's where you put your glazes, you know, depending on the heat, what it likes. So let me start with the ones that are closer here to me. Look at this bowl. So I made this with the shells, seashells, to be the handles. And the combination, I use new glazes, and the new glazes came the day that I was starting to glaze them. So it came in right on time. The guy came, delivered the glazes, and I was so excited. And I was like, okay, I want to try these. These are the new floating glazes by Spectrum. I only got 3. I got the Louisiana Bayou, the floating turquoise, and shallot. I have some other ones that are in back order, and they told me as soon as they get it, they're gonna ship it to me. It's already paid, so I'm hoping it will be soon. Actually, I think they said middle of this month, they're gonna get it. So anyways, as you can see, this is Louisiana Bayou. I actually used, trying to think if it was floating. No, I think this is Atlantis Aqua by Laguna. And look how beautiful that combination is, the drips. And then here is Flux Blossom. Now, on some mugs that I wanted to have like the sand and the sea, I use Flux Blossom because I always get this kind of sandy color, and with a little bit hues of pink on it, but more like sandy color. So that's what I use here because I was going for that look, and it worked out really well. And so here is Atlantis Aqua, Louisiana Bayou, and then I did one coat with the over the Louisiana Bayou. I did one coat of pearl white because I wanted to kind of melt in the Atlantis Aqua into the blue, and it turned out real pretty. And then I used the succulent on the bottom just to give it a different color. And these are all shells except for the little crab. These are stamps, and these bigger shells here are hand sculpted. So I like it how these turned out. Excuse me. This is one that was from my last kiln unload. It needed to be hotter. It wasn't quite hot enough, and I used winter wood. I haven't had good luck with winter wood. Maybe it's because I don't fire hot enough. Like my peak temperature is 2175 and with a hold. So I use the slow cool, and so that didn't move a whole lot. So I refired with pearl white to move, and I did move. It did work. It worked out well, except for it hit the shelf. So I'm gonna try to grind this whole, all the way around here. So, but the colors are better than what I had before. It did move. So this is right here, that sea foam color is Opulence Sea Spray with some is that blue hydrangea, I think, that I did here. And then I used the pearl white to move on top of the winter wood. So this piece here, I loved this combination, and it's a piece that I made for me. Inside I use my Seltzer Chun cream color, which I have the recipe under my posts. And now, okay, so this is a reclaimed clay. I was gonna say I didn't use any speckled clay, but it's it has some speckles because it's a recycled clay. I don't do that often, but I save for the longest time because when I trim, I don't usually have a whole lot to trim. So to me, it lasts a long time. So now I finally had enough to recycle the clay, reclaim. Anyways, what I wanted for my kitchen was, I've been wanting this for a long time. I needed something that is taller than a regular bowl and a little narrower and taller with a little spout, because I use my hand blender to make like different sauces. Like when I'm cooking, I like to have ready like garlic, onion, with a bunch of other stuff. Anyways, that's what I wanted, so I could use, because I didn't want it to splash. When I use a bowl, you know, the bowl is too low and a cup is too narrow, so I wanted something a little wider that I could use, and then when I pour, you know, I had the little spout, so it's easy to hold. I could actually have done the dimples. Maybe I'll make more of these. Anyways, that's what this is for. This is mine. But I used floating turquoise on the bottom. So it's divided into fours, I believe I did here. So floating turquoise, Louisiana Bayou, Atlantis Aqua, and shallot. And they all kind of overlapped each other. And you can see I did a little shallot here with a little, did I put pearl white? I think I did a little bit of pearl white to drip a little bit inside. So I like this combination. I like it a lot. So I'm gonna show you my puffer fish. I think I have, let's see, what are the other ones? I know I have more than, yeah, I made three puffer fish mugs. They turned out really cute, and I was lucky none of them hit the shelf. Actually, that one that hit the shelf was the only mug, so the Kiln gods were looking after my pieces, so I'm very happy. Anyways, the handle is the tail is the handle. It's actually pretty comfortable to hold it. It's more like a latte coffee mug. It's kind of small and short, but I could have made it taller, but it was an experiment that worked out pretty well. It's cute. This is Louisiana Bayou with Atlantis Aqua by Laguna. And then right where they meet, I used pearl white to melt everything together. And then inside is my Seltzer Chun turquoise color. I like that. This one was just slightly different. I used shallot. Actually, no, I used sangria on the bottom, then Louisiana Bayou and Atlantis Aqua, and then pearl white over the two. So I was afraid that this was gonna really hit the shelf. It got close, but it didn't. See, it got pretty close here, but it didn't go beyond that. So that just adds a little bit of pink to it. And then the handle is Atlantis Aqua. Inside is turquoise. Cute. And the other one is floating turquoise, the bottom half, and then the top half is opulent sea spray. It's a very nice seafoam color, and I used the floating turquoise here too on the handle, and inside is just my turquoise Seltzer Chun turquoise color. And these, when I was doing this, was just using the little bottle applicator for the slip. You know that when I'm squeezing it, all the points were like a little sharp. So right before I did my bisque firing, I went with the sponge and I wiped that very sharp points. So they're not sharp at all. It's very smooth. All the little spikes, which is not really spikes, but that was my idea, is to make it look like spikes but without being sharp, so it's smooth. Gonna get the two that are the two Quaza ones. So this is cuerda seca, but I also did a 3D shells and the little crab. And I wanted to create maybe that layered, you know, look where instead of being all flat. So it's another dolphin swimming there. And then the turquoise inside. I like that. So we're gonna do something similar during the class, except there will be a cup, just because it's easier to handle when you're just learning how to paint with cuerda seca. I'm gonna show how to do the gradient colors, like the fish, the clownfish, but it's very similar. I used the little crab, and these weren't hand sculpted. These were using just molds for these. All the rest are hand sculpted, and I'll go over that. So look how colorful these turned out. All Mako stroke and coat, except for the little shells and the crab. I used underglazes, turquoise. I think I used, yeah, I think I used turquoise on most of them on the inside. Now, there are some here that have the same combination, so let me separate them so I don't have to repeat. Yeah. So all these would be turquoise lake on the bottom, and I used turquoise lake. Thank you, Lisa Finkel, for introducing me to turquoise lake. It finally worked. So I think, excuse me, this is a coyote glaze. When I tested, it turned out almost like a satin. It wasn't glossy, but now turned out glossy. So I think having just a few degrees hotter made it glossy. Before, I think it maybe was right under that point where it gets glossy. So this time it worked. And what I did, most of it, I used the bottle applicator to squeeze the glaze all around my design, because everything else had the sculpted pieces or the carved, you know, in here had underglazes, and my Kitten's Clear, which is a clear glaze over. So in order to go around, I had to use the bottle applicator instead of a brush. So that's turquoise lake, and you see the darker sea color that you see here is turquoise lake, and then the top is Succulent by Amico. Is a celadon with celadon bloom over that. It's hard to see here, but let me see if I can. Yeah, you see where it has the blooms, the little white. And I wanted that to be like almost like under the sea, like the bubbles. I wanted that look, and this is my sea turtle. I like how that turned out, and I have a tutorial on how I make these turtles. So some of these were carved, some were using stamps like this, but some of these were relief carved, and these hand sculpted. Same thing, same combination. Just a different scene under the sea, corals, seaweeds. And so these sea turtles are hollow. Everything is hollow inside. Everything that I sculpted with no holes. I didn't poke any holes for letting air out or anything. So as long as it dries slowly, you don't need any holes, and you don't need that also as long as it's bone dry before you do your bisque fire, and you won't have any problems. So that's the same combination. Same thing with this one. And these are all on porcelain Laguna Frost. It's a very white porcelain, glazed on the bottom. Clear glaze. That's Kitten's Clear. Kitten's Clear on all my designs, sculptures. The dolphin that's also hollow inside, same combination. Painted with underglazes and kittens clear over that. Inside is a turquoise, Seltzer Chun turquoise color. This one, trying to think here what I did. So this is just a simple mug. I didn't hand sculpted these. That was using the stamp and the shells also. But I wanted to look like the sand and then the ocean, the waves breaking. So I use the new floating turquoise here, a band about an inch. Then I used underneath, it's Atlantis Aqua, and where it meets here and here, I used pearl white. And then the bottom sand color is Flux Blossom by Amico. And it does look like sand. And it does look like the turtle is right getting into the water, right? Look at that. And the reason why I like this is when I use the pearl white, it makes these whitish ends right at the end of the Atlantis Aqua. So I think it's really nice. It did exactly what I had in mind, so I'm happy with this. Now I have two of these. Yeah. These two are Stoneware. The clay is Ellen's Buff by High Water Clay. I was looking for a clay that wasn't speckled, but it had a little bit of color, and this is it right here. So I used turquoise lake on this bottom half, kind of like a wavy. This is a seal, cute little seal. And then on top, I used Sea Spray by Opulence. Very simple. And then inside is the turquoise color. I glazed the bottom too. So these are shorter mugs. They almost look like they could be like more a latte type of mug. And this is the sea turtle, sculpted with the same combination, turquoise lake, Sea Spray. I did use a little bit of not Louisiana Bayou. Oh yeah, it was. I did use a little strip of Louisiana Bayou and then pearl white. And then I did Louisiana Bayou here, but you can see that Louisiana Bayou over another color, you almost went like a grayish blue. And you can tell here by itself how blue it is. So I don't mind having the handle a different blue. And then inside is turquoise. So I like this one, just different than the other ones I have. This one is a little different combination. I used I used turquoise lake, kind of like a wavy pattern. And another reason why I use this too, I don't know if I mentioned before, is that this is a very stable glaze. I didn't want it to melt into my design, so it worked out really well. And then I used Louisiana Bayou and under floating turquoise. I saw that with some, I don't know if it was Lisa or Sarah Walton, maybe you did that combination of the two, Louisiana Bayou and floating turquoise. So thank you for that combination, which I love how it dripped. I was lucky it didn't drip over my designs at all. It kind of went around. Look at the seahorse. But it added so much to it. I like that contrast with the darker blue. And then the Louisiana Bayou is a beautiful blue, isn't it? I'm loving these new glazes. So I only got 3 so far. So, and then Louisiana Bayou on the over my Seltzer Chun turquoise. I want to also to add, because I know I might sound like a broken record. I always tell you guys that I love the Seltzer Chun. It's a very good glaze, but it also plays along with other glazes. Like it really, even though it's a stable glaze, but when you layer with another glaze, it does this kind of thing. Look how it kind of melts in. It doesn't stay put, even though it's a stable glaze. It has that, it makes that floating kind of gradient thing that happens with the glazes, which I like. So it's a very nice glaze to have for liner and for, there's another piece that I glazed on the outside and you see, I'll show you. It's a very good glaze all around. So this one, what did I do on this one? I know it was Turquoise Lake. I think I used the floating turquoise, I think, but I'll put it here on the, sorry about that, there's a plane, small plane flying over here. I believe this is floating turquoise, but I'll put it here, a picture, to show you this one. I'm uncertain of this one, but it's another turtle mugs, just with different scene, with different coral. I really like how this one turned out. I think my favorite was this one, the humpback whale. Look at that. Again, hollow, sculpted, and then very colorful. And this was Turquoise Lake, floating turquoise, which is spectrum, and Louisiana Bayou over that. And he made that really nice combination there with the darker blue. I loved it. I think this is my favorite. I have a lot of favorites on this one, and sometimes it's hard to part with. I don't know if you guys think the same. Like sometimes when you see a mug, do you really want to keep it? And then I always think, I'd rather sell it and then I can make another one for me, but it never happens. I always say I'm gonna make one for me and it doesn't happen. I always say, oh, this is my favorite, but I don't keep it. It goes and then I keep wanting it. But look at these drips. I hope I'm capturing this on the video. The drips are really nice. The bottom of the sea, the ocean. I did stroke and coat. It's called Cashew Later, which is a really sand color, you know. That's what I used here on the very bottom. So this one is a seashell, hand built from pinch pot and then carved. But I love the combination, and it is shallot, floating turquoise, and Atlantis aqua, and then Atlantis aqua, floating turquoise with some, I believe it's pearl white, but if not, I'll put it here on the side, the picture with the glazes. But these are all new to me. The shallot turned out really pretty with the texture. Look at that. So this is the chip and dip. The bowl for the chips is not a bowl, it's a starfish, but it's large. And I used a mold to make that, and I couldn't fit that in when I did my bisque firing. I couldn't fit everything, so I'm gonna do that later. But this one I was able to fit because I thought, well, whatever combination I use here, I'm gonna use it on the starfish. So that will be later on, but look inside, how pretty. I'm really happy how this turned out. Oh, this one is another one of my favorites. Look at this sea otter. Looks like he's just floating on the water because I made it so that the water was coming through. And he was hand sculpted, hollow inside. These were carved. The seahorse. I believe it's turquoise lake and floating turquoise on top here with some seaweed. But if I'm wrong, I'll put the picture here. I believe that's what it is. This one is turquoise lake on the bottom. Then I used succulent above the sea otter. And then on the rim, I used floating turquoise with blobs of olive float and some pearl white. Look how cute. I'm very happy with these colors. Inside is Seltzer Chun, glazed on the bottom. This was more of a test because I do have a video on how I made these. I was testing out my new texture roller from Etsy. It's got like Monstera, very tropical. So I believe this is all Amaco colors. So pear is a celadon. Dark green, which is a new one for me. I wanted to test it out. That's the dark green that you see around. And then I used some seaweed. And again, this was a tester cup that I did with a little dish. So these are the colors I'm gonna use on that big Monstera with the frog, because I liked how the seaweed looks over the pear. Looks really nice, so I'm gonna use that. Sarah from, sorry Sarah, I forgot now your page. Anyways, you had something similar that I really like that you did with your Monstera leaf, but I think you used wasabi. This is close to that, which is pear. But it looks really nice with that seaweed. So I'm gonna use that on my big Monstera, so I can't wait. So this one I fired together. And this is all Seltzer Chun. And I used that liquid wax with aluminum hydrate mixture. I used it right on top here, and that's why you see a white. It's all powder, dried up powder in there, but that keeps it from being glued together, and it fits really nice. You know, I just have to use like I have a paste that you put it on and you rotate several times until it gets really smooth, because right now, because it's a stoneware, you can hear that grit. But that's what I'm gonna do. But that turned out really cute. A little sea turtle coming out of the shell. And stoneware that Ellen's Buff, I think it's called. I glazed the bottom. And another one, just a little bit different, with a little seashell as the key, you know, where they meet. And this is Laguna Robin's Egg. It's a teal, you know, more towards the green than the blue, but it's very pretty, very shiny. But look at this sea turtle. How cute is that? And that's the handle. Same thing, fired together. So I was scared to death that this was gonna be fused together, but it surprised me. It worked. Another one that surprised me, this one is my salt pig that I have the tutorial. Actually, I did a live video last month. So if you look at my lives, I did a video on how I throw, but now I have another video that I actually show exactly how I made the pig. But look at his face with his little tail, and look at his feet. How cute. But I wanted a salt pig with lids because I don't like things in the kitchen without the lid, you know. So he sits on an angle like that, and then I'm going to grind it so it sits really flat without wobbling. That's why I put my logo way up here so it wouldn't, I could still sand that. But I really like, and I have a little spoon that I can put it here on the handle, so I can use the spoon if I want to. But I made several of these. So this is the stoneware is called White Bear by Kentucky Mudworks. White Bear is not quite as white as porcelain, but it's a really white stoneware, very nice to throw. So the glazes, gosh, I use shallot here on the lid, shallot here, and I want to say this is sangria. If I'm wrong, I'll put the correct glazes here, but I think it was sangria and shallot, and then a little bit of pearl white, I believe, to blend in. But look how similar they are in color, but all dressed in pink. My little salt pig. Did I tell you guys about these? I'm almost done. So did I go over these? Maybe not. I did these last minute trinket dishes just to have smaller pieces to go on my shop update with the corals seal, and just painted with underglazes and the crackle Laguna glazes. So I believe this is Catalina crackle with emerald crackle, like a mixture of the two. Same thing, except that this is on White Bear. Catalina crackle with emerald. It's the green that you see here. Crackle glazes, and these are all underglazes. The sea turtle and some coral. And this one is Catalina crackle and sky. Sky is the purplish bluish color that you see here. Catalina crackle is more like a light baby blue crackle glaze. And then I use succulent on the other side. Very easy to make these. Let me know if you want to see how I make these. I might even have a video already how I made these little trinket dishes. It's getting a little darker now. What else do I have? I think I'm almost done. Oh, and I just did a testers of the glazes that I got, because I always like to have the tile. So this is shallot on Allen's buff, and then on the other side I did Louisiana Bayou over shallot and pearl white. And Louisiana Bayou over shallot's real pretty, but it runs a lot. Then floating turquoise. It became almost like a translucent color on this one. That's surprising. I thought it was more opaque, but anyways, that's the floating turquoise. And on the back is Louisiana Bayou over the floating turquoise. Very pretty. This was soft white that I got. Very pretty. It almost reminds me of pearl white by itself. It has a little bit of blue on it. when it's used on darker stoneware. And on the back, I use a little bit of soft red, but it ran a lot and it didn't make any difference. So just the soft white is very pretty on its own. I like that. And then last but not least, Louisiana Bayou. I like that a lot with Atlantis Aqua here and Shallot. Didn't make that much difference here. So, and that's it. Sorry for the long video. Again, I will have more coming, more information on my workshop. I do have 3 people who signed up already. I have 8 max people that I can have on my studio. And there's still time to sign up if you haven't, if you would like to learn. Every workshop I teach, I give a whole lot of information. You learn all the different variation that there is to learn on cuerda seca. You're gonna be the expert on that. But anyways, it's nice to have a small group because I can give more one-on-one attention and really show you how to, the ins and outs of cuerda seca technique. I will be offering more because some people that couldn't come to the end of September now asked me to open more on October. So I'm gonna have in the middle of October, I'm gonna open up another one for cuerda seca. And then I will have other workshops on altering clay, sculpting, mainly altering like porcelain. So I've done that workshop before and it's a lot of fun. So I'll be having more workshops now in my studio. I just need to clean up a little bit and make it look nice. So thanks for watching, guys, and see you soon. Bye-bye.